World. This is day 2 of the 6th annual ONGEA Eastern Africa Music Summit, where our purpose is to help develop an industry that is professional, transparent, and we just had a very engaging session talking about royalties and the new importance of royalties in this new normal where shows have been on hold or have been paused for the last nearly 12 months now. And shows in Eastern Africa is the #1 revenue stream for musicians. So this next session follows very nicely because this next session says no shows, what are the alternative revenue streams, a global perspective. So we have a very global panel for you this afternoon from Kenya, from Uganda, from the US, Canada, and South Africa, to give us a perspective on what are the alternative revenue streams when the shows stop, as we've seen for the last nearly 12 months now. So this session is proudly supported by Safaricom, which is celebrating their 20 years, and very appropriately, Safaricom's theme this year is about going beyond. So this panel is very much about going beyond in the new normal. Thank you.
Miaka 20 safari ianza ya kutuunganisha kama Wakenya. Twende tukiuke, twende tukiuke. Let's go beyond, let's go beyond. Let's go beyond. Mimi na wewe tukikundi. Let's go beyond, let's go beyond. Safaricom.
Thank you very much to Safaricom once again. And also thank you to all our other partners for this 6th annual Eastern Africa Music Summit, ONGEA 2021. And I'd like to now welcome our moderator, George Gashui, fondly known as Poji. George is a creative entrepreneur. I once did a gig with George in Uganda many years ago, and he really lit up the stage. I don't know if he does that anymore, so he will tell us. Welcome, Poji. I'll hand over to you. Enjoy your session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Unfortunately, the youth has found its limits, so we're not jumping on stages anymore. And I'm super excited that East Africa is buzzing. So there's a lot of people to watch jumping on stage now. We don't need to, you don't need to be looking at Porgy. But super excited about this afternoon's conversation. I'll start by introducing myself. As Mike said, my name is George Gashui. I'm anonymously known as Porgy. I've been in the entertainment industry in East Africa for about 15 years now. I started out in talent management. I then moved into event production and event management. And about 7 years ago, my business partner and I began to develop some solutions locally based in Nairobi to be able to solve the financing and be able to figure out how artists and creators in East Africa can monetize their existing audiences. We've had social media booming across East Africa. When you look at the numbers in Uganda and Tanzania, our people are online. And so our adoption of technology is very fast. And so for us, it was to be able to start to work out this transition from a very analog distribution and revenue system into a more digitized system. And one of those ways became events. So across East Africa, we're very popular for ticketing as MOOC. And then in came COVID last year, and we all found ourselves home for a large part of the year, and we're still waiting on regulations to change. And I think outside of just ticketing platforms, the artists, the DJs, the creatives across not just Kenya or East Africa, but across the continent have suffered a big blow. And so the panel today is coming together to try and brainstorm and see what opportunities are there. Do artists also need 5 sources of income? What are those 5 sources of income? Where can we look? And so there's a great team of gentlemen and a lady with us today. And so we'll start with some introductions and then we'll dive right into it. I think we can start where? Let's start with Kip. Go on.
Hey guys, my name is Kiplagat Kiprop, popularly known in the industry as KK. I am the A&R lead representative in Kenya from Dundo.com. Yeah, I deal with mostly top 100 artists on the platform. And yeah, basically that's it. Just mostly data-driven artist scouting also. So I also try and understand the landscape that we have in Kenya from both, can I say, gospel and secular. Yeah, and also touch a bit on vernacular and then alternative audio content. This also includes comedy skits, Bible verses, podcasts, and the likes. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thanks a lot, Kip. Dan.
Hey everyone, hello from Nairobi. My name is Dan Aseda. I am a musician by craft. An Imagineer is what I would like to be. I'm the founder of a company called Studio Tisa. What we are a digital performing arts platform. We provide the infrastructure for people to be able to make content to participate in the digital space. Right now, we are focused mainly on live music and concerts, but we are hoping this year to expand to other forms of performance. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be talking about this, especially in the context of COVID and everything that's happened already. Artists regain some relevance, and specifically African artists who I feel don't participate enough in the digital space.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. And good job to Studio Tisa. I hope you guys have been catching the show in between the conference. Who knew this is how entertainment would have shifted, that you go and you don't get to walk to the next room, you just switch screens. So much appreciation to you and the team for the work you're doing. Let me just jump over to Yoel.
Hi guys, good afternoon. From Johannesburg, I guess. My name is Yoel Kennen. I'm the founder and CEO of Africori, which is a digital distribution company, or sometimes some people call us an aggregator. We offer digital distribution to all the stores, all the main digital stores, including YouTube, including all the TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, and so forth. And we also offer some label services like publishing and plugging, media plugging, radio plugging in certain countries, and we coordinate that. We only focus on African music. We've always been focused on African music only. Yeah, that's us. Or that's me, I guess.
Thank you, Yoel. Thank you, Robert. We woke you up super early.
Hey, 4G, thanks. I'm Robert Singerman. I'm New York, Manhattan. I work with a company called Lyric Find. See that? And we monetize lyrics online with 70 plus platform clients like Google Search, Amazon Music. We're doing many billions of lyrics exhibitions a month. We have an African agreement with Capasso, a blanket license in 38 African countries, including Kenya. And I used to be an agent and manager, so I'm very cognizant of the live music world. I used to represent a few African artists, Manu Dibango, King Sunny Ade, Uti, and did some work with other African artists along the way. I also work with many conferences. I'm partners in Mondo, which is the New York conference that's in essence taken over from CMJ. The same owners of CMJ long story with CMJ. They sold it, and now they started Mondo. It's 5 years. I also do a tour. This is the 6th year coming up. I do a tour of Latin American music conferences called CAB, CABMTMT.com. So it's music conferences routed. So in 2018, we did six countries for music executives and artists touring. And I'm partners in Sync Summit, so I have a lot of background in syncs, and that's the only music conference dedicated to syncs. But I'm very happy to be here, and thanks, ONGEA, thanks everybody, and I'll let the next person introduce themselves.
We can't hear you.
You're muted. The moderator is muted. It's showing that you're muted, so maybe you can unmute yourself. Lower left-hand corner. Oh, no. Well,
Okay, I am the backup moderator. Okay. So let us hear from DJ Slim meanwhile.
Okay, so basically I'm DJ Slim D. I'm a corporate DJ and a sound and technical engineer at Kenya's biggest broadcast TV and radio, which is Royal Media Services, that houses Citizen and Inoro TV and like 14 other radio stations. And but my core business in the industry is entertainment. I've been in the entertainment scene for almost 8 years. So I understand the industry and the jargons and the dynamics revolving in the industry dynamics and everything. So yes, that is me.
Thanks a lot, DJ D. I hope you guys can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Welcome. All right. So I want us to jump into it, and I hope Dan, you're still with us. I want us to start with Dan. Dan, I'm super curious from an artist perspective. How important was shows? What were we looking at in terms of shows? Is it locally? Is it internationally? And when you look at platforms like Studio Tisa and the live show environment that's moved online, what does that look like for artists? Dan, you got us? Okay, if we can't find Dan, DJ Slim D, let me ask you. Let's start with you, Slim D. You've worked on a project with Safaricom. Safaricom is the biggest telco we have in Kenya at the moment. Yes. And yes, they've run a program called Blaze over a couple of years to be able to work on artist development.
Sure.
I know that Blaze was heavily focused around shows around the country. Are there lessons from Blaze that you think are valuable for those who haven't participated in the product in terms of thinking beyond the time we're in now and where we're going? Are there some insights that you can share with us from the experience of an entertainer and a corporate?
Well, yeah. Having worked with Safaricom, especially now where they had to change from the actual physical concert to an online concert, I think there's so many lessons that, many DJs and event organizers out there doing webinars, doing streams need, just to factor in, because like when you bring in the music element and YouTube is in place, we have copyrights. So this is one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn and know how to beat around YouTube. And I'm not saying that I'm stealing anybody's money from YouTube or anything, but it's a thing now. We had to work with artists and their record labels and the copyright owners so that they can give us access to stream their music. That basically is one of the biggest problems that we had. The other problem was trying to push the same content with the same vigor that we Safaricom used to receive when the event was on the actual field, now on online, where you're trying to track in the entire traction, have like, you see, Safaricom is the biggest company. It's the company that used to throw one of the biggest events in Kenya. And they used to have this mammoth of crowds, thousands and thousands of people. And now they have changed up the whole thing into online and still want to target the same numbers. But you see now the dynamics change. Now you need a new set of ideas. You need to brainstorm on how you're going to rally in all these people, how you're going to sieve in through the target audience and all that. So those are among the main and the many lessons that we learned. And by time we perfected them, and you can now see where Blaze is. Yes.
Do you think there's more opportunity now that things are happening online for artists to be able to tap into platforms like Blaze?
Yes. It's a good thing. Unlike the traditional events where you just used to hit one event and you actually go. So the people that used to see you were, limited to the crowd that was in that event. When we go online, it's like an expo potential element where you can be who you are, you can be seen in every corner of the world. It's a good thing, but also it has its own challenges. And if you also look at it in terms of revenue, I think it has capped it a little bit because, in a traditional event where maybe 1,000 people would see you, 1,000 more will pay to see you again. But now when 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people see you like all over the globe, like someone in the UK, someone in the US, they've already now seen what you do, it kind of limits you, but also it broadens up your target market. It broadens up your market at large. But in terms of revenue and everything, I think the new streaming thing has limited so many artists, especially like us DJs and artists, and those avenues of the element of surprise when people now see you like in the traditional setup.
Okay, Cindy, I'll come back to you on that before we end this panel. Based on your position, and I know Mdundo has also been making some great strides globally, what does the market look like from your perspective? And if you were to tell us two opportunities you think in terms of artists being able to tap into new revenue streams, what would those be?
Thanks for that, Poji. From Dundo, from an internal perspective, what I've actually been able to see is that more people have been able to actually relax and listen to music actively, because our numbers spiked immediately the pandemic started, and we saw growth almost immediately within the month of March that actually showed that people in almost every household in Kenya increased their intake of music streaming. And so that's one. And the next one should be at least trying as much as trying to get corporate sponsorship and brand ambassadorship and those kind of deals. I think corporates really would like to plug into artists and their different markets, either mass market or niche markets, the one that they feel as though their product would sell the best. Yeah, I think those should work.
Looks like we might have lost Porgy again. Mike, do you want to be pinch hitting?
So have we lost our moderator? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let us continue. Who was the last question asked to?
I think Porgy had asked Dan a question, but Dan was unavailable about the live streaming market, how that's changed.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, I can pick that up. My internet
Yes, go
blinks a
ahead.
little, so I shut down the. I think what I would say about what's happening in the digital space is that obviously people are clutching on straws. We were not ready for the shift. Nobody was kind of ready to actually go and prepare a product that they could put online. So it took quite a lot of heavy lifting for everyone. And I think this situation was the same worldwide, because we saw people in LA trying to do this. We've seen Versus, and they're trying to grow this kind of digital product. So we were not ready. One of the things that I have noticed is we don't seem to have settled on a business model yet to the customer, because what's working right now is freemium. So everybody's doing some kind of freemium model. Versus is doing freemium. Studio Tisa is doing freemium. I know people working in other parts of the world that are still doing freemium, and that's currently the only model that's working. In other jurisdictions, I'm aware that people are testing pay-per-view in terms of live performance. So the question is whether we as live performers have the draw that is necessary to sustain pay-per-view. Of course, in my opinion, pay-per-view works best with sporting events, the Super Bowl, boxing events. That's what's kind of working the best to MMA, things like those are kind of drawing in the numbers to sustain ticketing for that. For live performance, we haven't had the opportunity to try it out. I think that in the next few weeks, we may be in a place where next month we may be in a place where we can try out a more stable pay-per-view model, but at the moment I don't believe we're there. So we're going to be stuck with something that's more freemium. Maybe if we can do deals with the guys at Africori, so that we can, maybe you all can talk about whether there's an opportunity for us to offer subscription-based live performances on the platform. Maybe that's something we can explore. But at this point, we are basically making the content because we love the art. We're not yet at a place where we can be talking about real revenues.
You maybe pick that up. That's an interesting point. Thanks.
Well, in terms of look, we've worked with. Can you hear me? Yeah, we've worked with a couple of companies who offer live stream around events, and it was quite interesting because one company was like 6 video, very high quality, and the other one was much more focused on engagement and interaction with the audiences, kind of like a Zoom, a mega Zoom with more like I guess engagement, more than a one cast. We're more than happy to relay if there's any offering. We don't deliver that service ourselves, but we think it's always an important opportunity for artists to gain engagement with their fans and also to generate revenue. The thing, I'm sure every country is different, but we were very excited because the first trial that company did in South Africa, they were able to, and it was an international artist, or a South African artist who has an international reach, and they were able to bring like 2,000 or 3,000 people, 700 people, but they generated good revenue, and it was very well done. And if you think you can do it every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, then it starts to be an interesting revenue. But then it never worked after that. It's amazing that they had like I think 10 or 15 shows, and I won't name the company and I won't name the artist or whatever, but some very big artist, and people were not ready to buy. So they were happy. So now they turned the concept and said, okay, let's find a sponsor to pay for the engagement, knowing that if you lower the price, you're going to be able to reach a much bigger audience, which will be interesting. But the crazy thing, I don't know in Kenya, but here on the Friday night, maybe Friday and Saturday night on the SABC, the national broadcaster, you've got a DJ for 5 or 6 hours, playing his tune from a booth, and they're getting very high ratings. So clearly people want to watch. Maybe the internet was not in South Africa the best way to engage. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I agree. I think generally the internet has been an impediment. It's been an enabler, but also an impediment because, like you're saying, the internet, depending on how much people are paying for internet, it's kind of like becoming a barrier. What I would also suggest, of course, I think we want to explore this ways that we can do subscriptions to deliver live performance. One of the things that I noticed is that the audience is also sometimes not interested in the quality more than they're interested in the engagement. So people are kind of, there's kind of that dichotomy. We're producing shows with 7 to 9 cameras, very immersive cinematography. We're making you feel like the show is in your house. But sometimes that's not really the driving factor of these shows.
Yeah.
It could be something. And so I think there's still room for us to innovate as a company and as an industry around what we can create the product that people are willing to take online. And also, to your point, whether you can do this repeatedly is a really good question. I think that we're going to have to do this repeatedly, but in a higher production value and also at scale. I don't believe you can do it like at Vegas, go and play every night. I don't think that's going to be possible. But I think that if you have the right artist and you have the right production team, you might be able to push the quality across. And what we're trying to do actually is to standardize the level of performance. We're trying to standardize the level of production so that even the younger artists can be at kind of the same level. So that's something that we are doing for the industry, but it is expensive. So that's why I'm looking for partnerships where we can find ways to monetize this so that we can get the budget to be able to give somebody the production that's necessary for you to sustain a live performance online. Like I said, it seems like this online medium, sports is more ready for it than before.
It's look, it makes. First of all, I'd love to continue that conversation. I've seen Robert who's filling up the chat room, which is great. Look, Roblox, of course. I mean, there's different things. One is to go to places where the people congregate, and Roblox is the perfect one. But we did something very silly without any not silly, but something without, not pretentious at all. At the time of the COVID, a lot of the artists were not touring, so a lot of our clients were not touring. So what we started to do is to connect 2 artists from 2 different countries on Instagram Live. And we just doing like session, like 45 minutes, an hour and a half, where people will ask questions and they will actually ask questions to each other. And first of all, it was a good way to discover music and culture from other countries. And you bring the 2 set of fans of those 2 artists into the Instagram Live. And, we're doing sometimes 500, 2,000, 2,500 views, not huge amount. But it's funny, as you said, the repetition. It was every Thursday night. And the repetition made people come back, and people who were not even fans of either of the artists started to see. And for us, it was a great way just to make sure that we connected with our clients at the time where, psychologically it's a huge strain for everybody, and even more to the creative community.
Yeah, and I agree. So I think repetition for Studio Tisa has worked because we were doing every week. And right now we are 60,000 views, I guess, a week. That's just because people, so then they're just coming back. And we hope to grow this because I still think that's a very low number given what's possible in this market and the next market. But maybe repetition is a solution. And exploring different ways to produce. I still do think that we are going to be, as musicians, as this part of the industry, we are going to have to hybrid the product. The product of a live performance, I feel, is not enough for pay-per-view or online. We're going to have more engagement from other parts of the creative sector.
Dan, if I can jump in, I think one of the big values of content as a whole, I think, should be to be able to drive content. And maybe between Robert and Yoel, you can jump in here. How important is it for artists to have their music across multiple platforms? Because I imagine once you have content, if you have this live show on Studio Tisa or anywhere on YouTube, and people are watching 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, if this was building demand for your catalog to be consumed on Mdundo or wherever else your music can earn you money, does the value come in putting your music in other places as well, where this kind of content is able to earn you money?
I'm happy to respond to that. It's so important. There's not even an alternative. You need to. I mean, the music business has not changed. It's about connecting an artist with an audience, and then engaging the audience with the artist. And there's different level of engagements for different type of artists and for different type of audiences as well. So you've got the passive listeners, and you're going to have more the active and the super fans and so forth. You need to find out what is the best platform to engage. I mean, what we've seen really in 2020 has been the explosion of UGC, user-generated content in general, not only in terms of revenue, but in terms of a way to build and engage. And the thing is that you don't need to mimic each artist. I mean, each artist has their own world. We're working with an artist at the moment that we released a single in October 2019, so a year and 5-6 months ago. We did okay. I mean, nothing special. Then, I mean, yeah, we did okay, I guess. But then when the lockdown has arrived, she was 17 at that time. Lockdown arrived, she's kind of 18 or something. And she's worked on TikTok, and she built she used that time to build her engagement there. 6 weeks ago, she was on 450,000 followers. So in the space of 9 months, she worked really, really hard. She's from Johannesburg. She's based in Cape Town. And in the last 6 weeks, she's close to 700,000 followers now. So it just went exponentially. Why? Because she dropped the video of the song that we released in October 19, got dropped 3.5 weeks ago. And it's not the numbers that I know you guys in East Africa are used to, of the millions, of stream on YouTube in a matter of days. But it's big numbers, and it's getting, what is interesting is entering the charts across Africa. I think on Apple in Kenya, she's 47, she's like in a few places. Her name is Tyler. The song is called Getting Late. And Getting Late, sorry. So there's no confusion there. But it's interesting because we're getting, we're pushing it, we put some plugging as well. But again, the reason I'm mentioning it is that she used that time to develop a real engaged relationship and create a world that allows us now to engage into her music. And during the 6 or 7 months on TikTok, she wasn't selling her music. She was presenting herself.
Yoel, I know there's this myth where people say, to blow up on TikTok or to go viral, you need to have the machine behind you. Is there a machine that we need to tap into, and what is that?
And look, in this case, I think what you need to have, first of all, is you need to have to understand your identity, to understand it, who are you, what makes you different, what are your strengths, and then creating that kind of like your world on that. And TikTok is not for everybody. I'm not saying TikTok is the only way to do it. I mean, it's one element. You've got, we've seen the revenue on Facebook really generating, a lot of that. Of course, we work on Master KG. We know the story about the Angolan, but before the Angolan story, there was a whole work done before. And there were other projects, but the challenges and the dance challenges just took it another level. Now, we're not every time looking at TikTok and say, okay, we did Jerusalem through a TikTok dance challenge. So now, I don't know, we need to find dance challenge for every song. It won't work. However, we had another song with a dance challenge 2 months later. We did 100 million as well on TikTok, which was John Vouligate, another crazy, people, stopping and dancing. And so it works from time to time. As Robert said, Roblox is a place where the teens or preteens are spending their lives in, not just playing, but interacting with their friends. We need to be where the people are spending time, and we need to make sure that we know how to talk to them. And when I say we, is most importantly the artist and the team behind the artist.
Before I come to you, I wanted to ask KK something. Because a lot of the artists in the region, when they relate to a Mdundo, they'll be thinking about Mdundo as the way to be able to distribute to their immediate audience, the people they know around them. From the artists you see in your top charts, how much consumption is happening for these artists in their home country? How much is coming from the greater Africa in terms of a focus of value?
Thanks for that. In terms of consumption, yes, majority, well, if you're a local artist, of course, majority will come from your hometown. But then there's also the beauty of discovery that we actually see spilling over in a case that where we have an artist on our site like Calligraph Jones or even South Soul. You'd find that they have tons of downloads from Kenya, but then also they're still being rivaled by Tanzania. That spills over, which also ends up happening into Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. So it's not only just for a local platform, but more or less Pan-African discovery, of which we've really tried on working on those kind of models through playlisting and DJ mixes that we actually sponsor and power throughout the continent, where we would understand that you'd get more listenership from those kind of towns. So you'd find possibly an ad by a Calligraph Jones song because it does heavy hip hop and everything. We take it to the hip hop market, so mostly South Africa and Ghana, and just see now pick up from where that goes. So it's more or less data driven than just trying to get an audience.
And are there ways for the artists to tap into this data to be able to better figure out their strategy and their brand and their positioning?
Yes. Actually, we are working on a dashboard where we'll be able to give artists a full breakdown of where they get where all their songs are being listened to, just like what YouTube does per country and per region. And also, we'll also be giving out statistics on an international level because our application is also open for international licensing. So we actually we also have users from across the world, especially it's very high in Germany, of course, due to our listing. So yeah, it'll also come sooner or later, it'll be a really good tool for artists to use.
Great, thank you. Okay. Robert, question. I mean, there's a lot of East African, even from the music in South Africa that Yo was talking about, where you have all these catchy lyrics that come out, John Vulugeti, and people are saying this everywhere. How do these artists use this to make a little more money in their bank?
Well, thanks. We all have to remember that lyrics are 50% of the value of a song, unless it's an instrumental song, of course, which means it's really 50% of the value of the entire music industry, the entire music community. So what is the role of music? It's to communicate to the listener. And of course, if you're singing words, it's to communicate the words to the listener or the meaning of the words. I couldn't understand the Safari ad except for Let's Go Beyond. If it was translated, I could understand it. That's been subtitles for 17 plus years now, and it's happening. YouTube is doing it because of the work that I've done. You've all seen what it's done for reggaeton in Spanish. The Despacito effect is really the closed captioning effect. That's bad lyric translations, and for languages in Africa, it doesn't come out like it does for Spanish because Google Translate isn't solid enough, but we're actually adding human language translations so that we can understand the songs besides the multilingual little bits of English in these songs. So that's a huge change for the music community, the music world coming up. But the simpler answer to your question is have the publishers that you work with sign licenses to us, or have the distributors like Africori send us your lyrics so that we can then monetize them. Because not only does it increase the publishing income, and it increases it a lot. So listen to this, guys. So with a paid streaming platform, it doubles the per stream payment to the publisher. with an ad-supported network, it multiplies it ×4, the publishing revenues. Obviously, publishing is less than masters, but it also increases the master income because statistically, when the lyrics are exhibited, people listen longer and more times. So if you're promoting anything, you're promoting your music, you're promoting your song, you're promoting the communication, what your song does to people, how it sticks in their head, how it, how it's important. We also do this, which is, a lyric merch. My one that I bought, Paul McCartney's making money on that, and it's a song about integration, which is an important thing for me personally, growing up in the civil rights decade and all that years. Sorry, it's way, and this is unique to me because I chose the font and the color and ordered it, whatever. It's on-demand printing, so we're accelerating the value of lyrics in every domain that we possibly can. There's Lyric IQ, which is basically taking the meaning of every song and then allowing advertisers or films or television to understand what the songs mean across the whole range of the 70 million songs on Spotify right now. So one of the things that we haven't talked about is all the other things besides live concerts. It seems like the live concert hasn't really taken off in Africa that much yet. Maybe it's because of the market, maybe it's because of the companies, whatever. Some of them are very successful, but there's still room to grow with that market, and it will always be there. That's one thing. The hybrid market is here forever. Like I said, big companies are buying platforms, but why? Because at a small club show, there's that many people, but there's ability to have, millions of people around the world jump in. But the other areas of income that people are doing now very successfully at home during this pandemic while they're not touring is they're working on sync placements. There's a site, syncsummit.com. I'm a partner in that, but check out sync cafes. They're free. You can talk to music supervisors, which is pretty amazing. People are looking for African music from different genres, from different places in Africa, all over the world. And, they probably come to UL in some cases to find it, but syncs are even though less films and television is getting made right now, films and television are still getting made. Netflix has opened up the floodgates for synchronizations. People are recording, people are composing, people are building engagement, people are doing PR, people are becoming YouTube influencers themselves. Now that they have the time, they're not on the road, they actually can grow that kind of audience and that market. So it's kind of an opportunity for us to think differently and do different things. That getting your metadata sorted out. That was maybe the last panel, but making sure that you're collecting all the income from around the world properly. Working with publishers, working with labels, even local politics, getting involved in Kenya in the new PRO, CMO discussions and figuring out really how to increase the playing field. .music is a new one, the new top-level domain that I'm partners in, coming in 2021. We will have live streaming. We will have basically everything. And the artists will be able to own their own identity and claim their own identity, which is the first time ever. So like we've always done in our work over the years, it's solving problems. And this pandemic is also an opportunity to actually solve problems in a different way, from home rather than from being on the road, and generate new income streams from all these different income sources and many more that I didn't mention. We can look at it as a curse, or we can look at it as a blessing. I was talking about being philosophical, as we get older, I guess. But we need to be grateful for the time actually to be at home and to think differently and to think of to innovate, because all the great discoveries come out of innovation. And so I just say everybody gets to innovate from home, and also online conferences. Don't forget that. I mean, you guys can travel the world right now without getting on an airplane or even a bus to the airport or a cab. You know, there's opportunities to meet people, do artistic collaborations across the globe. You know, there's all sorts of platforms where you can write together. You know, so just, you know, be bold and, you know, check out everything you can possibly check out to kind of to build your fan base, to actually strengthen your message, to, you know, to build what it is that, why you're here in the first place, you know, your raison d'etre, you know, what it is that you're committed to doing. Get really clear on your vision and your mission, and then, you know, work on all the different aspects to make money and to actually become sustainable as a career. It's a hard industry to have a sustainable career in. Yes, there's superstars that break through, but it's not an easy industry. But if you work really hard at it and do everything that you can actually do, then you know, you're going to succeed. I mean, it's just it's, you know, if you're talented at all. I mean, unless you know, you're, you know, have nothing to say and, you know, nothing to give. But if you're an artist, my guess is that you do have something to say and you do have something to contribute to people.
Thank you, Robert. I heard composing, sync placement, influencing, and this is stuff that, considering how social media has had us build such huge numbers, especially in East Africa, we have several artists hitting the 1 million follower mark. Being able to convert these even for relationships with brands. I know Yoel is about to step out. I want you to help me demystify two things before you go. One is, we've talked a lot about publishing and being able to work with a publisher and get your stuff out. And there's a question in the Q&A right now talking about, they've talked with some sync companies, and it seems the deal was not favorable to many artists. So Maija is asking, what kind of commission should the publisher or the sync company take? What are the things you should look out for?
Sorry,
Also on top of that, I think when we're talking about, yeah?
I couldn't hear you very well. I don't know if it's me, but the last part of the question.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a question that says, are these deals favorable for the artists, and what kind of commissions should the publisher take?
What, on the sync deal?
Yes.
I mean, we've got a specialist of sync here with, you know, Robert. So it will be quite an interesting one. I believe that, look, there's two sides on the sync. There's a master recording and there's a publishing side. And usually they share 50 and 50. Each side generate the same amount of money. It's what we call most favored nation, both sides. Now, on the recording side, especially with independent artists and, you know, like our deals, I say never. I mean, if you can, don't sign any exclusivity with anybody, because you want as many people to be able to work and to promote and present your sync opportunities to music supervisors and so forth. It's an interesting thing, because if you got, in my view, if you have a big hit, then it's an easier one to sell. So I think the cut should be smaller. If you have songs that are not as known, or songs that need a real push and support, because when you got hit, let's face it, most people come to you. You know, on Jerusalem, we're getting what, 6-7 requests a day? I mean, small things, and from time to time a big one. It's normal. So I'm not going to take credit to that on the sync side. It's all the work and all the success. It's the benefit of what, you know, we've put down, and we, when I'm saying we, is the artists and the record label and ourselves, and Warner in this case as well. Definitely Warner. But if it's not a hit, if you have new songs and you really like pushing it and working hard and presenting it to the music supervisors, to the ad agencies, then I think the share could be higher. I mean, it could be maybe 40%. Some people will say 50%. When you've got a hit, you might say, I want to give you 10%, or, you know, or 20%. But then it depends when you sign that deal. If you signed the deal before it was a hit, then you can maybe renegotiate at one stage, you know.
Okay, so are we saying that each of these contracts it's based on who is in the conversation and what your negotiating power is, essentially?
Yeah, look, they are. If it's an exclusive or non-exclusive, that's the point. If somebody's going to give you an advance on the sync itself, which is quite rare, but some people, I guess a publisher will do that. It's part of the whole rights that they will try to get. But
it's not rare in the U.S. at all. I mean, advances are the way that it goes. I mean, sync fees, on the master side and on the publishing side, happen all the time. I mean, they're the norm for sure.
No. What I was saying is that if you were just a sync company,
for an agent,
yeah. For an agent, no, it's no. Of course, if you do a master, because the sync then will be a part of the deal of your master recording. Yeah. So if you sign a master recording deal, sync is part of the rights that the master recording, the label, if you want, will want to have, and as part of that deal, you get an advance, and the advances in the US and in Europe, because there's been an explosion in revenues lately. So the advances have gone, to the roof, but only for the one that have momentum, and actually on that note, I'm going to have to go because I'm just going into exactly the same conversation with a major label in Europe about the negotiations of a master recording deal.
Make a good deal. Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully we'll see. It's our first. Thank you very much, and definitely we can chat outside. And nice to see you guys, Robert, as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. So Robert KK, I don't know if one of you can touch in on this, but there's a big question. There's a question here about advice for music producers. And because we have DJ Slim D here, I'd put music producers and DJs together because the ecosystem of how music is pushed in our market. You start first with going to this really serious producer, you get this track, you go and make your song, you release. A lot of times the producer has charged, $100, $200 for their track and gone. Going forward, the DJ picks it up, starts to play. Are there opportunities for these guys, the DJs, the producers, to start making continuous revenue from music anytime in the near future?
I think I can go first on that before Robert comes in. For DJs and producers, yes. I'm looking at this new trend that we have going on locally where DJs are actually becoming more of executive producers. And then they're actually putting their tracks everywhere, and as they are the master right owners, they're getting into all these publishing deals, sync deals, distribution deals for all their music. So ideally, even for them as a DJ, it opens up more space for them to become greater, even within the country, within the region of East Africa, in terms of how their content is being consumed. Advice for producers, I would just say, there are many ways of monetizing what you do. Just don't focus so much just on producing music for artists, because there's a lot more avenues of where music is actually being consumed. Look at you can do scores, you can do movie scores, you can actually have advert jingles going on. You can also just try and also just start your own label and be the executive producer for most of everything. But also have room to work with other people. These are the audio engineers, the mixing engineers, the mastering engineers, so that you don't have one person, like one size fits all and everything with a producer, so that at least you can focus on your craft in actually just the production in itself. So yeah, I think that's it.
Well, yeah, all excellent points. Thanks. And from Maja's question and Timothy's question about and percentages, with producers, you just have to be careful and not sign your life away. Tony Wilson had 50% of David Bowie's music forever. But for David Bowie, it was actually kind of a good deal at the beginning, even though the percentages were very high because of what it did to his career at that time. When Maisha's saying that, the deal wasn't favorable to her artists, I think you know, it depends on what stage the artist is and where they're at. But like the Jim Carrey movie, sometimes it's good to say yes to everything because at least it's some forward progress, and you know, negotiate as hard as you can. But if it's an opportunity, take the opportunities where you can. You know, Yoel said it. You know, don't sign exclusive agency deals, but he's also a distributor, so it kind of limits his rights if he's a distributor. But if it's an agent who's going to bring you millions of dollars, then yeah, go sign an exclusive agency deal. Make it for a term, you know, so if he doesn't perform or she doesn't perform in a year, then you can get your rights back and go somewhere else. But I know some exclusive agents who have brought, you know, clients and friends of mine literally millions of dollars worth of syncs, and they would not have done it if they had not been exclusive. You know, it takes time and energy for someone to focus. So yes, it might reduce maybe some of the distributor or the label's power to a certain degree, but it generally also brings them a lot of opportunities that they would never get themselves. Because if they're just coming to look for you because of the song you've done, you're going to get that business anyway. And, you know, and yes, maybe the sync agent can get their commission out of that. But usually what the sync agent does is actually goes and finds deals for you, you know, not just has deals come to them. So, you know, same thing with a producer. Sometimes, you know, a producer can, if they don't have their own record label, they have a better relationship with the majors or whatever. They can help promote it and market it. And, you know, because it's their rights that are tied in on the production side as well, or even on the publishing side, if they co-wrote the song or got a piece of the publishing. So the producer could be like a businessman producer, it could be more an artistic producer, it could be more, you know, there's different roles. It could be a financial producer, you know, I mean, executive type producer, invest money. They could have a deal with, you know, with DJ Blade's company or whatever, and have an opportunity to, you know, to go right into telecom, or, you know, to do Studio TC with Dan, or, you know, work with you, Porgy. So you know, we're all human beings, and what it is, you know, who the person is, and do you trust them, and can you learn from them, and can you find an agreement that makes sense for both parties. But don't be afraid to you know, negotiate and to find people to work with you. It takes a team. It takes a real, you know, it takes a team of people, and that's what the major labels are. They're just good teams of people. That's what publishing companies are. They're just people. So it really takes a lot of people to be successful.
That's a great insight, Robert. Is like I was saying in the beginning of this conversation, there's a lot of artists we see in East Africa, especially, who are self-managed. They're a one-man show. Some of them have gone as far as being the producer artist, and so they produce their own music, sit alone, put it all, then do their own release strategies. And there's huge value in having teams around you to collaborate, people who can work across different sectors and different markets and just help you focus on your craft while other people help you make a little bit more money out of what you're doing. So I think that's very, very powerful. I think I'd say because we've built such a strong reliance on shows, if we were to move away from shows completely, and I think the reason we had reliance on shows is because a lot of these artists could do 2, 3, 5 shows a month and charge X amount of money. So because streaming and licensing and syncing, some of these deals are long-term. This is a deal you want to be able to be in for 6 months or a year before you can start to see your numbers. The guy who's looking for rent, or who's looking to figure out how to keep his social media running, what's one quick thing he can be doing in the next 1 month? I like the idea of influencing. I like the idea of composing, because also you find that artists don't appreciate the value of offering their craft to other artists. So composing and writing for other artists and selling ideas and stuff like that. But if you were to give one low-hanging fruit that you would point to some guys, what would that be?
Well, for me, artistic collaborations, even across language, and you saw what happened with reggaeton, Justin Bieber and Beyonce and all that, you know, but artistic collaborations are phenomenal, because especially if you're collaborating with somebody who has the same kind of vision as you, and you also can share databases and fans, and and all that. And this is a way that you can really reach out now that social media has kind of democratized in a way the ability to reach people. There's no longer these, you know, closed doors and hierarchical systems as much. You can actually, you know, find people and talk to people on their Instagram or whatever. You know, if there's a song that you love that somebody has done, even if there's somebody who's, you know, bigger than you or whatever, you know, talk to them, and maybe they're going to love your song. And if you can do productions, even DJs do cross productions sometimes, you know, right? I mean, we're in a small world. Our world is much smaller with the internet. All the services are global services, you know. I mean, not, you know, Madundo is specifically Africa, but it's a global service also, right? I mean, you know, you have people listening from all over the world. So these global services are really what, you know, we have to kind of act local and think global, or whatever the word is, you know, like take care of yourself at home, but also be willing to be present everywhere, which is kind of the name of my thing that I did yesterday with all the, you know, international panelists. You know, it's with the internet, we're able to be present everywhere, you know, to be ubiquitous and to work hard at our ubiquity around the world, and learn from everybody. And, you know, I learn from you guys definitely every day, you know, so it's you know, yes, it's tough because there's those shows, but there's shows, you know, you can go online and see 1 million, you know, 100 shows today if you wanted to, and you know, connect with people in a different way.
Excellent. DJ Slim D, thoughts?
My thoughts are just to see one day where we'll just coexist, you know, the content creators, the DJs, us, the distributors, because basically we DJs are more like distributors of what the likes of Dan do and Kiprop, you know. So I just pray for that, as in one day we just coexist, and we also make something from it, because at the moment the industry is quite tough unless you try and bring in a corporate brand like Safaricom just to pay you and do your thing online, or, you know, go to a bigger brand and do a webinar, something like that. It's kind of tricky making money through the streaming, especially the you know, the public streaming sites, unless you're on Dundo or,
well, you know, I would say, yeah, I mean, when you were born, nobody said it was going to be easy, right? I mean, but we all make our way, and I think it's important to realize that we all are very powerful beings, and we can make our way in different ways, and the way that we think about things does influence the way that that what happens in our lives, right? So, you know, if we think it's hard, it's hard. If we think it's easy, I mean, look, man, you're doing pretty well. You know, it sounds like, so, you know, you must think some of it's, you know, pretty easy because, you know, you've been able to make it happen through your struggle, which is great, you know, and that's the opportunity that all of us have, is to actually just keep at it. I mean, sometimes I wanted to drive a cab also, you know, before the Ubers, because, you know, yeah, but actually, you know, you just keep building your team, you keep doing what you're doing, you keep finding new ways, keep innovating, and you know, we are all coexisting right now, you know. So
and the good thing is most DJs have, I think they have learned a lot from the pandemic, and have diversified and re-strategized their way of making money. And I think the one good thing is most corporate brands are now embracing the talents that we have, that is in terms of DJs and artists, and it's a good thing. You know, it's a new norm. We welcome the new ways of making money, and I'm glad and happy that all of you guys are just working towards, you know, all of us, that is the distribution team, the DJs, the content creators, just, you know,
building the pie. Building the pie all the time, cooking a bigger pie. Yeah, that's what we got to do. That's what we get to do.
What do you think, KK?
Yeah, just like a culmination of everything that you guys have said. We should just work on creating that ecosystem where everybody has a piece of the pie, and of course it's large enough for everyone. So just finding the best way now to tap into getting pieces of that one pie. And it all also depends on how best you can work with all these other people around, being a content aggregator, being a content provider, being a content creator. It makes it gives us a lot of avenues to work with, because in the end, I do believe we are still all creatives. And even like if I look at songwriters, you're not only held back just by writing music. I mean, I know agencies, marketing and advertising agencies can even look for copywriters, and you can actually work in copywriting just in the meantime, also just as a source of revenue, also just to help you get back into studio and everything. I mean, we're not just held back by just what we put on paper, ideally.
Great. I can see a question here from Maija who's asking how we protect from burnout in a time where we can attend almost everything. Right? I think a huge thing to understand as a creator or an artist is to know your audience. Right? Just because everything is accessible doesn't mean. And so if you learn to understand your audience, and I think why it's a big challenge for us, like I said, we've been living in this world where we've been taught to accumulate followers. And so you have 100,000, 200,000, some guys have 1 million people they're interacting with. But how do you understand who these people are? What are they looking for? Where are they? What are their consumption patterns? How do you speak? Because if you have 1 million followers and you convert 10% of them every month, you got some money in your pocket, you're good. Whether they're buying something for $1 or for 50 cents, you will have some regular income in your pocket to keep doing stuff. So I think we're already sitting on a lot of the gold that we need. The foundation has been set over the last couple of years where we got to travel and do shows. But now that you're at home sitting with all these followers, and it's like accumulating a bunch of business cards. When you get home, you have to sift through them and now start to send emails and be like, hey, nice connecting at the ONGEA Summit. How do we go forward? And I think artists and creators need to start doing that with their audience, where they begin to engage on a deeper level than just, I posted on Instagram this morning about my breakfast. And so there's a lot of things to do. Although if somebody's paying you to post about breakfast, we support the influencer game. So please post and make some money.
I also think that like the answer to Maija's question is in her question, because you protect yourself from burnout by asking questions, by learning, by like doing exactly what you're doing, by chatting, by meeting new people, by giving of yourself, really, because that's what you're doing when you ask a question like that, is you're actually giving. So when you're giving, you can't be burnt out. There's just no way, because there's just no way.
Yeah. All right. Any last words from the panel before we close this up?
Okay, I just wanted to echo in just a piece that you said about influencing. Influencing before COVID, we used to use social media as just posting things and pushing our content and all that. But after and during the COVID period, that's when we had to try and convert our social media following into making money. So we just approaching up brands and all that and trying to push up their content. We just became influencers. We've been sitting on that gold mine. We're having all these followers, but we don't know how to capitalize and actually monetize from them. So yeah, influencing has been a thing, and people have innovated ways of creating money from their social media following.
Excellent.
I'll echo that we're all influencers, even if we have 1 or 2 fans, or your mothers and your family as your fans. We're all influencing each other. So I think in terms of making your career sustainable, how can you influence the people in the best way, in the way that works for them? And if we think about that, how can we contribute? It's like they contribute to us, we contribute to them. Contribute to all the people that we influence in the biggest manner possible, it'll definitely come back. I mean, and whether we're contributing with our songs, with our DJ productions, with our brand connections, with our breakfast, on Instagram, whatever. However we can contribute best to the people that we're around is really what, is what makes the world go round. Sorry for my being too philosophical this morning, but.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. I hope the artists and everybody who's logged into this session has enjoyed the information. I think there's great value in people going out and just looking at these different companies. So go and look at Lyric Find and see what value that can have for you as an artist. Go and check out Africori. See how you can start to distribute your stuff across all platforms and make sure it's out there. Make sure you find.
Is he on? You lost him.
I think we lost him again, yeah. Yeah, I see that there's a chat from a friend of mine from Brazil in India right now who woke up to see this creative economy. We have this concept called human capital. Understand how we can make this value of human capital become an economy capital. That's the secret. Well, it's definitely one secret. So, Mike, you can moderate from here. Let's Porgy's back.
It's very unusual to find Porgy lost for words, but we may have to wrap that up. So I like what he was doing. However, because he was wrapping up on the main point. So I think if there's one thing, I just want to wrap this up very quickly for the audience. If there's one thing, gentlemen, and on behalf of ONGEA, I do want to apologize that we have accidentally had a manel this afternoon. It wasn't planned. We had Cindy Sanyo, the superstar from Uganda, who's meant to join us, but had some internet challenges. So if there's one thing, if you're an artist right now, that you would do to take you to the next level, this is putting yourself in an artist's shoes, what would it be? Let's start with you, Robert.
Write amazing songs and have an amazing team and work your butt off. Give to the audience. Always give to the audience.
That's great advice. Thank you very much. And DJ Sundi?
I think for me is, just try and understand the industry, how the industry, where the industry is at the moment. Sharpen the skills, widen the scope, just be global, because at the moment we have the opportunity of actually being global. If I input my mix on Dundo with Kip, I'm so sure someone in Dallas, someone in the UK or Canada will listen to my mixes. So basically, I just broaden everything and sharpen all the skills.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. I think for me, it's basically working hard and working smart, mostly focusing on the 90-10 rule, where that 10% of your audience will give you most of your income. So it's just trying to understand where your 10% target audience lies and how you can tap into them, so that once they got into everything and once you've gotten your income and everything, the 90% will definitely follow up.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. But we unfortunately haven't had Porgy come back, so we'll have to wrap this panel at the moment. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Robert, thank you so much for getting up early in New York to join us today. Thanks again to Yoel for joining us as well. To the audience at home, we continue this again tomorrow, 12 o'clock EAT. We have a panel on artivism by Malimo Tendwa, and then at 2 o'clock we have a panel on credit for creatives, and at 4 o'clock we have a panel about Eastern African music going global. So make sure you're back here tomorrow. We're just setting up now for the showcases. We'll go live to them any minute. Thank you, gentlemen. You may sign out. We will catch up with you another time. Thank you.